Hi, I'm Rick Fisher,
And I'm Jay Wheeler.
and we are Midwest Dads.
Welcome to our podcast,
Look for us on your favorite social media sites, including.
Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X.
We hope that you will follow us on our social media and listen to our show. In today's episode, we're going to talk about family vacations.
Oh man, who doesn't love a good old-fashioned family vacation?
What do you think is the classic family vacation for Midwest dads?
You know, I'd probably have to say something like maybe a South Dakota to see Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, maybe. Or Disney World or Disneyland.
Yeah, those are great vacation destinations. Have you been to any of those places?
We've been to all of them, and I agree. They are all great.
And if the fine folks at Disney should be so inclined, we'd welcome them as a sponsor if they so choose.
For sure.
Really, what we wanted to talk about today was our thoughts on planning vacations, but we also wanted to share some stories about our own family vacations.
Yeah, there are several things that go into planning vacations, like your budget, time off from work, distance of the destination, family members who are going, pets, of course, and your own health, for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty clear on the budget and the time off from work and the pets at home. Even the family members left at home, there's that part of the equation as well, right? But you might have to explain a bit about the other things.
Sure, so the distance of the destination is important for several reasons. Anyone who's traveled with an infant or even a 2-year-old knows that they don't always fare well on long flights. Plus, you have to consider all the gear you have to take for small children.
Gear? You mean like hiking boots and ponchos?
No, I mean strollers, car seats, the pack and plays.
Oh, yeah, I remember those pack and plays. They were like a fenced-in backyard for toddlers. As I recall, you pretty much had to have an engineering degree to set them up.
I wouldn't plan a trip to Asia with a toddler, unless, of course, you had a family there or something.
Yeah. Okay, so the age of family members sort of makes sense. Are you just thinking about small children?
Small children are certainly a consideration, but so are older adults like grandparents and aunts and uncles.
I'm guessing you wouldn't suggest taking older family members on hiking expeditions through the Himalayas.
Probably not. That's an extreme example, but some places where hiking and walking or other physical activities might not be appropriate for older family members.
Yeah. Also, I want to be clear that we are all for older people being active and doing things to challenge themselves, but within reason, obviously.
Right. Grandpa may not want to go skydiving, but Grandma may want to do bungee jumping. But those things probably need to be talked about in advance and maybe checked out with their doctors first.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about the budget for the trip. I'm kind of sitting here and I'm channeling my inner Dave Ramsey here. And I'm thinking about what he would say about budgeting for a vacation.
You would probably say the responsible thing to do would be plan a trip ahead and pay for it all before you leave on the trip.
Yes, that would be good fatherly advice for all of us. I think that's something we all should strive for, but not everyone is good at planning ahead. Also, sometimes, you just need to get out of town.
For sure. And as dads to adult kids, we certainly want to encourage families to plan vacations ahead of time. Most of the time, this will save you money, but occasionally we feel we just need to get away fairly last minute.
Yeah, occasionally opportunities arise when family and friends invite you to stay with them, or even that work trip that you decide to take the family along and stay an extra day or two.
Yeah, for sure. The thing is, you really want to be responsible and not just go book a trip that you're going to be paying off for the next few years, right?
Yeah, so the budget is important, and we just want to be responsible, I guess.
Right. So take example Mount Rushmore. The budget for this trip would include money for gas, maybe even a rental vehicle if you rent a car or a camper, meals, accommodations, park fees, activity fees, things like rope courses, go-karts, zip lining, all that stuff like that. And then there's shopping for souvenirs and T-shirts.
My wife isn't going anywhere where she can't do some form of shopping. And I'm not talking about the candy section at the convenience shop.
Yeah, for sure. Those things you have to consider and plan ahead of time and budget it in.
What about the payment method? Sometimes it might not be a bad idea to pay for a flight, a hotel room, or even a rental car with a credit card, especially if you can take advantage of rewards on credit cards.
Yeah, there are great reward credit cards out there for sure. But the caveat is you have to plan to pay the balance off after the trip, of course.
Yeah, nobody wants to get an extra job or have to start donating blood to pay off the trip they just came back from.
That's right. What we would suggest is that you don't break the bank, so to speak. Meaning if you're going to put on a trip on your credit card, just don't dig yourself too big into a hole that you'll regret it.
Yeah, I think we have come up with an exhaustive list of things to consider when planning a vacation. Let's talk now about some of the trips we have taken ourselves.
Yeah, we've traveled together a couple of times.
Yeah, I can think of 2 trips when we were together with our wives. For example, the time that we went with you and your wife to Florida.
Yeah, and the cruise.
Oh, the cruise. The cruise is a great story.
What's so funny about the cruise?
Well, there's several stories, but I'll share one if you allow me to do so. I think you'll be okay with it.
I don't know. I guess that depends on the story.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into it, and we'll see if you're okay with it.
All right.
So my wife and I had been giving Rick and his wife a considerable amount of grief about how slow they were moving, and I cannot emphasize the word slow enough.
Come on, we were on vacation there.
Everywhere we went. True, but folks, the comparison would be like the speed a man walks with his wife when they are Christmas shopping.
Come on, Christmas shopping? You're reaching.
Yeah, I know, but every man knows what I'm talking about when I make a reference like that. Anyway, we had been giving them a hard time about being so slow, and they were being very good-natured about it. But then one day, my wife and I were sitting on the deck in lounge chairs and basking in the sun when Rick and his wife come walking up the stairs towards us.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah. So the funny thing was they were both walking like they were walking in slow motion. You know, kind of like Steve Austin would do in the television show The Bionic Man. You know, na 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 na.
Absolutely. And Bionic Woman, too. Great shows.
Yeah, great shows. Some of you will remember what I'm talking about, but those that don't, feel free to look those up on YouTube.
I think that was also the trip where we were dancing on that boat excursion and drinking the Bahama Mamas and not putting on sunscreen, if I remember.
Well, yeah, there were some drinks involved. There was some sun involved, and there was a lack of sunscreen. And as I recall, we got pretty sunburned.
Yeah. And our wives were not super compassionate about it either. But they did warn us to wear sunscreen.
Yes, it's definitely a good idea to listen to your wife when she tells you to wear sunscreen.
We found out the hard way.
We often do. So what would you say then was your most memorable family trip when you were growing up?
You know, most of my childhood vacation memories were a real dichotomy. I grew up in a family of 6 kids, and I was the youngest. My older brothers and sisters would tell me about these epic stories about trips on the camper, or they had a boat too, and they'd go on these boat trips. But by the time I was old enough to actually enjoy that stuff, 10 or 15 years old, they were done. My dad sold the camper, he sold the boat, and they're in their 50s ready for something a little quieter.
Well, that's kind of a bummer.
It was. They did plan one big trip to Hawaii.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought, okay, here we go. They bought the tickets. Even my grandma was going. But my brother Todd and I, we got left behind at our aunt's house. So while everyone else is in paradise, we got family reunions.
And to be fair, family unions can be very nice. My parents took us to the Oregon coast a couple of times, and I think those trips were probably my favorite growing up, mostly because we got to fly in an airplane, and we had never done that before those trips.
Yeah. What about trips with your kids?
Yeah, we've taken a lot of trips with our kids. I would say a fair amount of traveling, but I think that the most memorable one was when they were younger and we took them all to Disney World. Though, as I recall on that trip, I think I did catch a bad case of contactinitis.
Contactinitis? Yeah, that doesn't sound good. What did you just make that word up?
I did make that word up, and thank you for noticing. Although it definitely was a serious situation.
I sense there's a real story there.
Yes, story is true. What happened was that we had rented a house in Florida, and before we went to bed at night, my wife had mentioned that she forgot her contacts case. So I told her to just put them in a glass and leave them in the bathroom. Well, as you might imagine, I got up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, and I decided I needed a drink of water before I went back to bed. And apparently, I drank out of the glass that had the contacts with it.
Oh, I bet that was an eye-opening experience.
Bum, bum. It truly was, because my wife woke up the next morning looking for her contacts, and lo and behold, they were gone.
And thus the case of contactinitis.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
Yes, and what made it even better was that she literally warned me about it the night before we went to bed, telling me, make sure you don't drink out of this glass during the night. Thankfully, my wife isn't one to say, I told you so.
Well, you probably could have given it back to her later.
Ooh, I don't think so, pal.
Well, I'm glad you survived.
Oh, I did. But there was another incident on that same trip.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, nothing huge, really. Just some confusion about who actually paid for the buffet at Disney World.
Uh-oh. You guys did a dine and dash at Disney World? Should you be talking about this?
Well, I think we're okay. We actually discovered our mistake and went back and paid the bill.
Well, that's good.
And I'm sure that by now the statute of limitations is probably up.
Well, I'm relieved to hear that, because I was concerned that the Disney police were going to come after you guys.
Yeah, me too. And by the way, again, would say if the fine folks at Disney would like to sponsor our show, we certainly would welcome that.
That's right. Midwest Dads at Disney.
Yes.
All right.
What about you? Any memorable trips with your wife and kids?
Oh, yeah. So, well, one of the most memorable trips we call the Holy Crap Vacation. So let me tell you that story. We decided to rent a C-Class camper, one of those that looks like a truck with the cab over bunk. My wife had never camped in anything like this before, and she didn't know, her black tank from her gray tank. And I told her, honey, you're going to love this. Famous last words.
You sort of lost me on the black tank and the gray tanks. Is that some sort of camper jargon?
Yeah, it's the tanks are for the waste in the vehicle. So there's solid waste and liquid waste. That's with the gray and the black.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Continue
Continue with your story.
So our first stop was Lake McConaughey in Nebraska, one of the biggest natural lakes around. And I see all these campers parked down at lakeside, right on the beach. It looked perfect. So I start driving down this hill towards the water, and the whole rig starts sinking. And before I know it, we're buried up to the doors in sand. And I glance over at my wife, and she's smiling, saying, "This is a great spot, honey. Let's make some lunch."
Wives are great like that.
Yeah. So internally, I'm panicking. So I grabbed my oldest son. I said, "We're going to get some firewood." In reality, I was walking about 200 yards down the beach where I saw this tractor. And I knew he was thinking, "You're one of those idiots who needed to be pulled out." But it turns out the guy was super nice. $50 later, he had us pulled out of the beach.
And this is why it's important to always travel with a little cash.
Yes, yeah. And wives are smart. And so my wife looks at me and says, "You're stuck, aren't you?" Right as this big tractor behind me is rolling towards us. The kids thought it was hilarious, and we still laugh about it today.
Wives don't miss very much, do they?
No, they do not. After that adventure, we made it to our real campsite with full hookups and had a fantastic week. We ended up at Custer State Park. What we didn't realize was that it was Sturgis week, so the place was full of bikers. Great people, but those motorcycles are not quiet.
Wait, Sturgis? Did you guys not know about Sturgis?
Yeah, but we didn't realize it was taking place at the same time as our trip.
Yeah, put that category of things you can't plan for.
For sure. One of the best stories from the trip happened after we had done this Jeep tour the day before, seeing buffalo, and the guide taught us how to safely navigate around them. It was a really cool experience. And the good part is, the next day we're driving down a road and hit a big backup. A bunch of bikers pulled over, waiting for this herd of buffalo blocking the road. And I pull up casually and say, "I know how to get through these guys." Suddenly, every biker decides I'm their guide, and they're all firing up their engines and falling behind our little Hummer 3 that we were towing.
Dude, what kind of a guy sees a bunch of bikers stopped and thinks to himself, "Hey, I'm going to go drive over and talk to those guys"? That's a gutsy move, pal.
Right?
So what happened next?
So I used this trick that the guide had showed us. When you tap the side of your vehicle with your wedding ring, tap, 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 and the buffalo looked over at me, and they started moving, just like they did for the guide.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. You managed to get a herd of buffalo to move simply by tapping your wedding ring against the side of your vehicle.
It seriously worked, dude.
Yeah.
It seriously worked.
Folks, this is Midwest Dads giving you tips on how to manage a herd of buffalo.
And bikers too.
Sorry, finish your story.
So I actually drove through the herd of buffalo, and right behind me, 30 bikers slowly made it through the herd. And for the rest of the week, these guys kept spotting us around the park, yelling, "Hey, it's Buffalo Guy!" Still, one of my proudest dad moments ever.
Do you want me to call you Buffalo Guy? I'm pretty sure I've told you that you were full of bullpucky a few times.
Bullpucky, good one.
Yeah, we are a family show.
But the trip earned its holy crap name on our way home. If you've driven a C-Class through Wyoming, you know how much wind it catches. And we hit a stretch of the roads where it says, "High-profile vehicles caution." The winds just slammed us sideways. And I'm white-knuckling the steering wheel, quietly going, "Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap," while my wife and boys and dog are all staring at me. Phones and coloring books forgotten. 5 long miles of pure focus. Scary as hell, but we made it.
Well, of course you did.
Looking back, the whole trip was fantastic. The kids loved the campfires, the stars, the adventures, the stories we still tell. Camping with your family creates a special kind of bond. Even the holy crap moments turn into some best memories. At the end of the day, the best vacations aren't really about the destination. It's the moments with family, the laughter when you're stuck in the sand, the silly nicknames from bikers, the quiet, holy crap prayers while white knuckling on the steering wheel, and the stories you'll retell for years. Those are the things that stick with you long after the trip is over.
I'm ready to go now. All that sounds amazing and wonderful. And these things await you, folks, and much, much more. That's all the time we have for this episode of Midwest Dads. We thank you for listening to us, and we hope that you'll continue to follow us on our social media sites. Now I think it's time for a dad joke.
So the Midwest Dad stupid joke of the day is, I don't know if it's really a joke, but It's more of a state of consciousness I'm going through right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm terrified of elevators.
Really? I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, I'm going to start taking steps to avoid them.
That's absolutely awful.
Is.
That's all we have time for today, folks.
Yes, and please visit our social media sites. And if you like to post your stupid dad joke, you certainly can. If you'd love to tell a story about your favorite vacation episode, please share. If you have a comment about our vacation episodes, you can certainly share about that too.
Or if you have any tips about how to manage a herd of buffalo.
Sounds good. Thanks all.
Take care.
Hey, you're still here? It's over. Okay, let's say a prayer for you. God, thanks for these dads grinding it out every day. Give them strength for the chaos, patience for the tough moments, and a few laughs along the way. Remind them that they're doing better than they think and that showing up for their kids matters more than getting it perfect. Keep them steady, keep them grateful, and help them remember they're not alone in this. Amen.